With an electrical bag like this on my hip, I feel like there's nothing I can't do around the house, but there are 5 tools in this bag that every homeowner and DIYer should have. I'm going to open up the list with number 5, which is the non-contact voltage tester. This is a super handy tool to have for all kinds of different circumstances. If you've got to swap something out, for example, and you want to make sure the power is turned off to an outlet, then this makes it really easy to do that. You can turn this on, and then by default it's going to be at the 70 to 1000 volts. So anything within a normal 110 or 120 up to the 220 and 240 range, it's going to read that just fine. And you can put this next to a wire and it will detect if it's got power running through it or not. You can also use the little end here to test the inside of outlets. And then if you want to be extra sensitive and just make sure it's working as expected, we can switch here to the 12 to 1000 volt option. And with that, it'll be even more sensitive to any electrical currents all the way down to 12 volts, which can be really handy in certain instances. As you can see, this just takes a couple of AAA batteries, so these are easy to replace, and you can have this for years and years and always have that extra peace of mind knowing that what you're working on is definitely unpowered. Now, while we're still on number 5, this is a really cool tool that you might want to check out, and this one is called a digital circuit breaker finder by Klein Tools. And with this, you can basically take this end off and plug it directly into an outlet. It also works with different things like bare wires or a light switch socket even. Comes with a little adapter set. And with this, you can use this little wand here and find out which circuit breaker you need to turn off in order to make sure that the power is off to that particular fixture. So that is a really handy tool just to make sure that you're being extra safe. And then in conjunction with the non-contact voltage tester, you are doubly sure that everything is powered down and ready to work on. Number 4 on my list is a proper set of insulated screwdrivers like these. So I've got 3 screwdrivers here from Milwaukee. They're all insulated, so they're rated for up to 1000 volts. And these really just make it that much safer when you're working on something. In case something gets flipped back on, you thought the power was off, but it's not. Hopefully if you've done all your homework with tools number 5, then you're all set here, but this is just a great set to make sure that you've got everything you need. Now this particular set comes with 3 different versions. You've got your slotted screwdriver, your Phillips screwdriver, and then this is called the ECX. And I've highlighted this in other videos, but it's kind of a combination between a Robertson or a square drive. I know they're different, but a Robertson drive and a slotted screwdriver, and it is perfect for fitting directly inside of electrical work screws. So very handy to have. And again, as an alternative to something like this, there are also some great options out there that are all-in-one tools, like this one from Milwaukee. I believe this is the 7-in-1 if I'm not mistaken. This one basically has a little bit of all of the bits that you need. So it does include, the reason I like this one in particular is it does include these ECX bits, and everything that I need is included in here. I don't have to go find it or fetch it, and it's also ratcheting. Number 3 on my list is a good set of lineman's pliers. Now you've probably seen these before. They have all different kinds of uses, and basically they've got some serrated teeth on here on the end, and they've got a nice big flat and very robust set of jaws on the end here. And then they've also got a pair of wire clippers or wire cutters that are super strong, and the whole thing is just thick and tough. Now these are kind of heavy tools. They also have a little set of jaws in the back here for grabbing onto things, but these come in handy for so many different circumstances. You can use these to twist wires together before putting on a wire cap. You can use these to push and pull things. You can use them to knock out the knockouts on different electrical boxes, and then you can also just use them to crimp things together. These are super durable, they're heavy, and they're well built, and it just is a great tool to have in your tool belt. Because you're watching this, I'm guessing you're a DIYer yourself, and why not show the world? I've got cool shirts like this one, and 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 this one. All kinds of shirts, mugs, hoodies, you name it. So be sure to check those out. There's a link to my store in the description below, and there's also a little merch shelf below this video where you can check those out. So pick one up for you or the DIYer in your life. Number 2 on my list is a good set of wire strippers. And I've talked recently about these universal wire strippers, which I think do such a good job. I've been using these for many years, different variations of this, and they work really well. Now there's this kind here that's a universal wire stripper. You've got traditional wire strippers where each of the different gauges is marked on there, and those can do a great job too. I like these ones a lot because you can just put any wire gauge in there from 12 on up to about 22 or 24 gauge, and it will just pull the sheathing off the outside and leave you the wire by itself. The other thing I love about these kind in particular is that you can use them to pull off the sheathing on Romex cables and larger cables like that, and it does a great job with those thicker things that you typically can't get with a traditional pair of wire strippers. Now the other ones I've been using just recently are this pair by Knipex, and boy, these are fun because these are even faster and they actually pull off the excess, making it just a really simple and quick job. So definitely a cool one to check out here. This one cost a lot more. These ones probably ran me about $60, and because I do a lot of electrical work around the house, I thought it would be worthwhile. But if you're just doing something occasionally, sets like this start at about $15, and you can get the basic sets of stamped wire strippers. Then those ones usually start at like $8 or $10, and sometimes even less at the hardware store. So I think these are an essential tool for doing any electrical work around the house. Now before we get to number one, I thought I had to mention all of these honorable mentions here. These are things that didn't quite make the list but are awesome to have, including a good collection of different connectors. I've got my Wago 221s here, wire caps, and different heat shrink tubings and other connectors. Those are always handy to have. I love these guys here. This is just an outlet tester. It can test your GFCIs, and I especially love this one. These ones cost about $5 or $10 more than the cheaper ones, and so I think these are about $29, but it has the reading of how many volts are coming through your outlets. I use this thing all the time just to make sure everything's live or not live, and they're super handy. I also have a multimeter here. I love this particular one because this one actually works well with any sort of voltage. It's got a universal voltage setting here, which is really nice, so you don't have to figure out millivolts or volts or 100 to 1,000 volts and anything like that. Just set it to volts and it does its thing. So this is really handy to have. Another thing that's always important to have on hand is a good blade. Now if you want to go the super cheap and easy route, these little blades here cost about 69 cents at Harbor Freight, and they're quick, they're easy. I like that they're brightly colored so they're easy to find. And then the cool thing about these is you can use them, and then if something gets dull at the end, they have these little snap points, so I can take this, break it off, and now I've got a new fresh blade. Now if you want something a little more permanent that you can have literally for a lifetime, these are both lifetime guaranteed. These Milwaukees are awesome. These are called the Fastback series, and they're called that because of this. You can just flip it open and then flip it closed, and it works just that easy. Now there's a couple of variations. This one particular here is just the smallest, most compact one. It's just the blade, that's all there is to it. And then there's this one that's a little bit bigger, and this one's got a little opening right here that you can use as a seatbelt cutter, a card box cutter for opening packages. And then the other thing that this one has, it's also fastback, and then you can pull this out, and then it's got blade storage. So I've got 5 extra razor blades. This is magnetic, so it holds those in place right there, which is really cool. And so it's got those in place. You can close that up, close it. These also have a nice little belt loop here, so you can just slide that into your pocket like that, and it's out of sight but ready for you whenever you need it. A little bonus feature that these have when it comes to doing electrical work is if you need to, you could actually just use the little open blade right in here. So I can push this against like that, circle it around, and now I've separated my sheathing from my copper wire, and then I should be able to just pull that off like that. And then just another way to strip some wire if you do need to use it for that purpose. Another one is a stubby screwdriver here. This is great because it's a 2-in-1, a Phillips and a slotted, and it works great for those tight spots where a regular screwdriver can't quite reach. And this last one may seem like a duh kind of thing, but I love having this thing around. I just keep a Sharpie in my bag at all times. Now to top all that off, I definitely recommend having a bag like this. You can pick one of these up starting at about 15 bucks. I think this one costs about 28. This is the Magno Grip one, and this one does a great job for putting different screws and stuff like that right there on your hip. It's got a little holder for your tape and different things, and lots of pockets. This is specifically an electrician bag, and it's got a little bit of everything in there, which is great. So I just keep this bag with me, and anything I need to do around the house, I've got it covered within the pockets here. Now the #1 electrical tool I recommend for DIYers and homeowners is one that replaces all of these and puts them into one tool. I don't really know the name for this because every brand calls it something different, but it's a 6-in-1 or an electrical multi-tool or a 7-in-1. It's one of these guys here. So here in front of me I've got a set of crimpers, some lineman's pliers, some wire cutters, some needle nose pliers, and some wire strippers. And actually almost all of that functionality is contained in one set of these. So this is a 6-in-1, and these come in different brands and different levels of functionality essentially. But this set right here, for example, is the least expensive one one I could find at just 15 bucks. And this is quality stuff. This isn't a cheapo little tool here. This has got a spring-loaded blade and mechanism here, and it can be locked down for storage, which is really nice. You can get this for 15 bucks, I think only if you order it directly from a store like Home Depot. That's where I found it. And a little bonus on these, just FYI, you can typically add these to your cart and get these shipped to you and delivered without paying any shipping. So you're just going to pay the regular sales tax that you would pay anyways. You never leave the house and they show up in a few days. So these are pretty cool. Again, 15 bucks is by far the cheapest that I found. The next price up from that was $25. But in here, these ones have needle nose pliers, and there's another variety here that were the kind of like a lineman's pliers. So these are the Milwaukee 7-in-1s, and these are the 6-in-1s. And then you've got your pliers, you've got your wire strippers, you've got your wire cutters, you've got your bolt cutters over here for 832 and 632. So those are used to cut your electrical screws shorter if you need to. And then on the back side, depending on which ones you get, these ones have the little crimpers right here. So you can actually make a loop really easy with these to do a shepherd's hook for wiring up your outlets and light switches. So all of that, all in one tool. Instead of carrying around a bunch of these different ones, just slide this one in your bag and it can do most of what you need. So I still like having these tools dedicated. I will keep these around and I'll use them often, but it's really nice to have the option to have a 7-in-1 for most of these things. Now I promise, I swear to you, this is not sponsored by Milwaukee. I'm not trying to push their stuff necessarily, but they've got some great tools that are all-in-one things. So you've got your 6-in-1 here, you've got your screwdriver that has your ECX bits and everything else that you need, which is awesome. You've got your blades that we mentioned here that are fastbacks and easy open here, and then with those three things, you can do most electrical work. That's really what it comes down to. So again, I'll put links to all of these things in the description below if you want to check those out. And again, keep in mind that sometimes the best prices that you're going to get are going to be by going to your local hardware store. So check out the links in the description. A lot of these things you can get either from Amazon or from Home Depot, for example, delivered to you for free and just within a few days, which is really convenient. And I definitely recommend checking these things out. These are kind of a life changer for me. A big thanks again to my friend Scott over at Everyday Home Repairs for introducing me to these. And if you want to see some other things that will hopefully open your eyes a little bit when it comes to home electrical work, I've got a video that you can check out right here on 6 common mistakes that we as DIYers make when wiring our outlets. My name is Nils with Learn to DIY. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.